Hey all.
Started. All right, we are recording. All right, well, we will open the FinCom meeting at 7:02 p.m. on this October the 10th. Welcome back, everybody. It's been a good summer. Good to see everybody's shining faces here as we go into fall. So the first thing we have on the agenda today is to talk to the Board of Health about a revolving account for trash and recycling. So you can come join us up here and saved all the good seats for you.
How are we doing, gentlemen?
Great, how are
Good
you?
evening. Thank you so much for having us. For anyone who,
I only came here to talk to Joyce.
oh, Mike, I'm hurt, Mike. For anyone that doesn't know the members of the Board of Health, Joyce Gilmore, Tom Fickner, Alan, and my man Jack. He's the one who makes us all look good. There's a few other members of the Board of Health that obviously didn't need to be here tonight, our health agent, and the people that do our perk testing and things like that. Probably 5-6 years ago, this sort of came to light. The members of the Board of Health were getting ready to either renew or to go out to bid for our trash. Our trash contract runs in a 5-year cycle. It's 3 years with 2 one-year extensions to renew. So at the end of 3 years, we could be done with it or go out to bid, but pre-negotiating those 2 one-year extensions helps kind of smooth things out and gives us a little more longevity with the contractor that we're working with, and it seems to have worked well. But it came to our attention by going through the process of setting up a new contract, that money that was received from subscriber money that was received back, whether it be rebates from recycling back when cardboard was worth money, money that was left over that we had collected from subscribers that didn't get expended to either the trucking company or the company that burns our trash. At the end of the year, those monies were getting put in free cash. And that our understanding was it's subscriber money, not taxpayer money. So Jack put a presentation together to kind of explain how the Board of Health operates and where the money that funds the Board of Health comes from. We had an experience somewhere maybe 4 years ago where we had to come before the Finance Committee because we had run out of money to pay engineering. And we had money within the Board of Health. So it wasn't like we didn't have money, but Finance Committee, you guys are the experts in how we disperse money and spend money and make sure that we have money. You guys wanted us to take it out of another pocket rather than take it out of a pocket that was already within the Board of Health. And having this conversation, that's how our revolving account for engineering fees kind of came to light. Mike Baroli was the chairman at the time. And as we were going through that process and that discussion, we were able to explain why we ran out of money for engineering. It had to do with the fact that someone could pull a permit, pay a fee, and not do anything on that property for 3 years. And there was a certain period of time where you could apply for a 1-year extension. And then even back before that, when building wasn't doing well, the state of Massachusetts gave you even more of an extension. So we collected the money. The money wasn't expended in the year we collected it. The money went to free cash to the taxpayers pool. And then all of a sudden, building gets better. Everybody starts calling us up to do inspections. and we run out of money. It's not that we didn't have the money, it's just that because every year our accounts get swept clean. So we got a revolving account. It took us a while to get it funded, but now we have one so that we can kind of smooth that out, those ups and downs, and we can be accountable for the money that we collect and the money that we expend. So I'm going to let Jack explain to you how our trash works, because we really need to do the same thing with that. We get money back from E.L. Harvey as part of the contract. We also, back when we were doing this process 6-7 years ago, discovered that the subscribers are paying for the municipal trash. Because what happened was, way back when the town decided that they couldn't afford trash pickup, and this process of semi-privatizing it, making it subscriber-based versus taxpayer-based came to light, the gentlemen that were on, or the members, I should say, that were on the Board of Health, after they negotiated their contracts and they got their bids, being mindful of the town and trying to get as much as they could for that money, said, we'll award you the contract, but we need you to pick up the municipal trash too. They needed an additional perk to make it work. So that's how it got built into the subscriber base. It wasn't done for any other reason than to try to get a little bit more for your money. But we didn't know. I mean, when we were writing that contract 6 years ago, that was the first time round for the members of the board at the time. So going through the process is the only thing that brought it to the surface and brought it to light. Thank you.
Just want to pass those up for me.
Thank you.
Is there anything you can share on the screen for Nick?
Yeah, I do have a PowerPoint
Okay.
for my laptop.
Yeah, do you mind putting it up there so Nick can see? Thank you.
Just a quick break before Jack starts. Were any of you members part of that original conversation that Alan alluded to back when Mike was on the board?
I am so computer illiterate.
I've been a member of this board for
Since
20
what,
25 years.
I was just trying to see who the new, right, you would have been there.
I stood up at the town meeting the year that we took the trash
Is this more?
out of the budget
Yeah.
because the school needed the money, and we instituted a user's fee. That's going back 25 years,
Okay.
give or take.
Yeah, okay, listen, so there's some representation in the,
Oh, yeah, I remember it well. I remember it well.
gentleman who was just,
and I. Jack-
PowerPoint Live, see your notes.
Recall Alan's discussion about the engineering item as well.
Right.
And on the senior center that time.
I have a distinct recollection. I couldn't say it was 3 years ago, 4 years ago,
Right, yeah.
but I do recall the discussion, and Alan did a great job setting the table here, because I have a recollection.
Yeah.
Exactly what you described in terms of the timing issue, right? So the fees come in, lo and behold, phone's not ringing. Now it's 2 years later, the phone is ringing.
It's that arrow.
And now there's no funding to go out and do the inspections, so
Right.
I recall that.
See the arrow at the bottom. Yeah, that one. So what do you have to hit that manually?
Look at the whole entire presentation.
Let's see how this is, 1 of 12. So do you have to manually, bring them up?
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
All right, so for tonight's presentation, we're discussing the revolving account for the subscriber solid waste and recycling program. Tonight, we want to review the Board of Health deposit accounts, analyze the current status of the trash and recycling program, and our target tonight is to develop a more equitable subscriber-based system. Currently, the BOH has 5 deposit accounts. We have Title V applications. That covers the septic system, soils testing, and wells, which is our engineer plan reviews and on-site inspections. We have our food permits. Those are for our restaurant, convenience store, and mobile food truck inspections. We have our hauling permits. That covers the trash and the septic haulers. And our miscellaneous permits. That covers the tobacco sales and inspections, in-ground pools, and the beaver muskrat trapping.
A bonus question, can anybody answer whether that's a muskrat or a beaver?
That is a beaver.
Okay.
And the last is the excess trash bag stickers. So right now, the Title V applications, part of the graphics. We have a current BOH Title V revolving account now, and the other applications go into their own deposit account numbers. BOH Title V revolving account. All septic construction applications are to be completed within 3 years of issuance. The Mendon Board of Health may extend that by 1 year. For example, there is a $450 septic construction application payment that I do receive in. The $450 pays for the septic engineer plan review and approving along with the on-site inspections throughout the stages of installation from beginning to end. So basically, that $450 could be good for a minimum of 4 years, which goes through multiple fiscal years. It should be available to the property owner. Setting the subscriber rates. The BOH annually sets the subscriber rates for next fiscal year E.L. Harvey contract, prior year's tonnage collected, current year's tonnage collected to date, prior year's disposal, which is the tipping rate, next fiscal year's disposal tipping rate, and active subscribers to the program. Our current fiscal year 24 budget is $642,300. And this total does include municipal collection and disposal. Currently, right now, we have municipal buildings in on the subscriber program, which includes the fire department, highway department, police, parks department, town hall, inspectional services, the Taft Library, and the senior center. School department has their own contracts, so they are not part of this total. Currently, the Board of Health has 1,915 active subscribers to the program, 1,300 are standard rate, 557 of the senior rates, and currently there are 364 inactive subscribers to the program.
What does that mean?
364 people, residents that have their own trash. So there is Berkowitz Trucking, that's a licensed trash hauler. They may use Berkowitz. They may have a dumpster that they bring to work from their home. I know Lonnie Tinio says he brings his home trash to his business, to his own dumpster services.
So they're not subscribers, they're just.
They're inactive,
Okay.
correct. They're inactive accounts.
We're very fortunate, we have about 84% based on the numbers that do participate in the subscriber program, so that's kind of nice.
So as of September 27th, the Board of Health has collected $326,000. And if there is a perfect world for the next cycle from January through June, which covers the second half, we'll collect the same amount of money, which the total subscriber collections would be $652,504. Using that total rate that we have collected and putting that against the budget, we would have a surplus of $10,204. This does not include the surplus of the sticker revenue that we receive for the excess trash bags. And going over the last 5 years, it's roughly averages out to $3,500. Again, please excuse the graphics. So the Board of Health does agree that the food permits, hauling permits, and the miscellaneous permits should go back to all Mendon taxpayers, since all Mendon taxpayers do benefit from that. But we believe that the curbside trash recycle and trash stickers, any surplus should go back to the individual subscriber and not all town Mendon taxpayers.
Now, in reality, as Jack mentioned, if it's a perfect world and we end up with a $10,000 surplus at the end, provided nobody does any heavy spring cleaning or whatever that brings our our expenses up, that $10,000 would be $5 a subscriber that we'd be able to lower the rate. However, every year, the E.L. Harvey contract goes up 3%. The tonnage rate goes up a couple bucks a ton. And this is information that we have. As Jack mentioned in one of the previous slides, that's how we set the rate, is we look at what our next year's numbers are going to be. We decide reasonably how many subscribers we're going to have, how many senior subscribers we're going to have, and we do the math because we try to come up at zero.
So if somebody does a spring clean, lots of people end up doing spring cleanings and they're getting rid of lots of stuff.
Mhm.
So when the tonnage goes up, there's extra payments that need to be made based off of the weight of total trash collected.
Right, we get two bills. We have I believe it's a monthly payment to E.L. Harvey.
Correct.
That's fixed
Yep.
because we know what the annual contract is. The tipping fee is based on the weight that goes to Wheelabrator. That's never the same.
Yep.
It fluctuates seasonally, it goes up and down. So you're making your best guess based on past information and trying to hit that target.
Yep. We
We would rather have more than less, because if not, we would be coming back to the town for money.
Yep.
But we try to get everything as close as it's comfortable to be, but there's a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, so you're setting rates based off of the contractual standard fee, and then the overages that are cyclical, you're trying to just smooth out as much as possible to make sure.
Right, so
you're
we
covered.
take, we
Yeah.
take averages.
Okay.
And we hope that we're using the best information available when we're doing this.
Yep.
There have been times where Phil's truck is filled and he's had to go back the next day to finish the route. That happens occasionally. Not often, fortunately, but it does happen occasionally. And that could be due to, like I said, a seasonal additional trash. Plus, I mean, we have people that send an envelope in and they buy 10, 20 trash stickers for additional trash above and beyond on a routine basis.
And the value of those stickers probably doesn't cover what the extra.
Pretty close. We're trying to cover the tonnage.
Yeah.
The trucking is fixed.
Yeah.
So we're trying to cover the tonnage. For years, those stickers were $2. We decided we needed to go to 3. Gentlemen?
No, you've kind of answered it. I was going to ask, I believe there's a limit on what you put out every week. So as far as someone cleaning out their house and putting a big pile of trash out, I don't think that has happened.
Yeah, it's not gonna
You
be,
gotta-
right,
You
it's,
just said that there's the sticker program is still in effect, et cetera, et cetera. So in reality, it's the tonnage that goes up, but there's money being kicked in to try to cover that extra tonnage. It's
Right.
not like it's a losing operation.
no, we again, we try to cover our expenses.
Right.
This is very well done.
Kudos to Jack.
He's the magic man.
But I do have a question, it may be a slight deviation of presentation, but just a question. In the event of a surplus, and perhaps this is accounted for elsewhere, in the event of a surplus, hypothetical $10,000, these hypothetically, see, we want to either apply that towards like the next contract, or perhaps, allocate in some other fashion. Just off the top of my head, something like hazardous waste collection day, which is, I think, really marvelous. I mean, good luck trying to, I could have been president for all the painting that I've done, but, and everybody's got like 4 other cans of paint or 5 cans of paint at their house. The opportunity to be able to bring that to a facility for proper disposal.
A latex paint disposal day. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
this idea of like kitty litter in latex paint and it's okay, frankly, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It really doesn't. And I'm I'm not an engineer, I don't pretend to be an engineer, I don't want to be an engineer. It just doesn't make any sense to me, as opposed to a central collection where the stuff all comes in and it's dealt with appropriately, as opposed to putting something like that in the trash. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, the hazardous waste day it costs a lot of money. It's $10,000-12,000 quick for the day. Every year, just the amount of money we pay Clean Harbors, the setup fee. At one point, it was like $1,600. Now it's like $2,300. Just the setup fee. Forget about what people bring: pool chemicals, old fertilizer, old cleaning chemicals, things that they don't really know what it is, but it's in a container, so they bring it. Motor oil, unbelievable, the motor oil that they collect. The only problem we do have is with the latex paint. That's something that they won't accept. And hazardous waste day is open to the whole town. Even though it's negotiated and it's covered by the Board of Health, it's not just subscribers. It's open to the entire town. Now, E.L. Harvey, it negotiated in our contract, gives us $4,500 annually. And again, we want to hang on to that $4,500. That $4,500 should be used to reimburse or lower the cost of the subscribers. We're not trying to say hazardous waste day is only going to be open to subscribers. That's not right.
Yeah, well, for whatever it's worth, I think it's a great program. You run it really well. I think it's fantastic. Notwithstanding latex paint, if we could find somebody who could come in and get that, it'd be great. But this is exactly the kind of thing we ought to be doing, because if we're not doing this, what's going to end up happening is
It
it's gonna
goes in
end
the
up
woods.
in the woods, in the rivers, at the end of somebody's street, you know, what have you, like a couch, you know, gets
Mhm.
tossed someplace, and all of a sudden, there's like five-gallon buckets of paint there at the same time.
Well, I often think of the first responders that respond to a house that unfortunately has met fire or something like that. And they go into a home where stuff like, linseed oil and, different stains and stuff like that are in there and the house is on fire. That puts our first responders at risk. If we get rid of it on an annual basis, then there's less on that property. So it's really helpful all around.
No question about it, but there have been instances where I've gone, and it's like, sorry, no more room at the end, because we've met, I guess your contractors met their limit.
Right.
So, bit of a challenge, right? We have people like cleaning it out, they get it all the way up there, and then boom, that's no more. And and not a criticism, I understand there's only so much money to go around. I just wonder if that is an opportunity, perhaps that surplus, to supplement like what we're doing there. I'm just
Yeah.
as a citizen here, I'm not speaking for the
No,
finance
very
committee,
possible. I mean,
just as a citizen, because that is a huge benefit to homeowners being able to take the paint up there.
again, that's why it's important that the Board of Health is able to, however the accounting people do it, be able to hang on to some of that money versus that money being cleared out of our accounts. We're not a department that at the end of the year says, oh, we got this money in our budget, let's do a spend down, what can we buy? So that, I've been at town meetings over the years, where at the end of the year, they're looking for money and, oh, there's money in trash, but nobody questions, why is there money in trash? I remember one year in particular, there was a lot of money in trash. There could have been $80,000 or $90,000 in trash that year. And the reason it was in there that year is because Missy, our administrative assistant at the time, was part of a group of towns, 16, 17 towns that negotiated a 20-year contract with Wheelabrator. Well, when 17 towns get together and negotiate a contract with Wheelabrator, year 1, 2, 3, 4, your rate goes down because they need the trash to generate power. And you're coming in with a large group of towns, that's a lot of tonnage. So your rates all of a sudden back up. They go in reverse for the first couple of years and then they catch up. So we're always, just like you guys, we're always basing our numbers, our requests a year in advance. using old information that we hope is as accurate as we can get our hands on. So it wasn't that the money was just appearing and not getting spent. There was a reason that there was a surplus, but it all left. So there's no opportunity to enhance the services that the Board of Health provides for the town. The $4,500 that we get back from E.L. Harvey, it's gone. We don't get an opportunity to keep it in the Board of Health pocket, wherever that pocket might be located. So there's really two things going on. There's subscriber money that we feel needs to stay with the subscribers. It's not taxpayer money. It's subscriber money. So that money really shouldn't be cleared out of our account at the end of the year. That money should be used to subsidize the next year's rate or enhance programs within the Board of Health. to Jack's point.
Or return to the subscribers.
Yeah, again, $10,000, 2,000 subscribers, it's $5.
Understood. I'm not suggesting that outcome,
Mhm.
but that's at least the theory behind it. The idea
Right.
that the-
Let's say our new rate comes up and it's instead of 406, it's going to be 411. Well, we can keep it at 406 because we have that money.
That's what it's supposed to be. But somewhere along the line, like I said, we've been paying a fee for trash pickup for 25 years, give or take a year, okay? And the original thought process was you give back in the following year, either the rate goes up or it comes down. It's not so much Alan's gonna go around and hand everybody a $5 bill.
Understood.
But in the last several years, not so much now, but for anybody that's lived here as long as some of the people I'm looking around know that it's been Mendon has finally got to a place where we can start taking care of ourselves, i.e. new police station, senior center. We've been feeding money to the schools. So we're finally getting a big enough tax revenue in. 25 years ago, what did we have? A hardware store, a Chinese restaurant? That was the tax base, in a nutshell. Today, we've got some pretty big,
Donators.
that's a good term.
Good way to put it.
So for a while, that extra money that Alan's talking about would go to help finance the town, the school, the police, the fire, all of it. I'm not gonna point fingers. I didn't agree with it. I've sat on this board for 25 years. But sometimes it was either that or you raised the tax rate and you go for an override. So the powers to be in the last several years did the best they could to hold the expenses down.
Think that, on the municipal pickup locations, and I don't want to get ahead of your neck here, but on the municipal portion, if there's 7, 8, 9 different locations, for example, where there's pickup and some allowing for some variability, some just a trash barrel, others a dumpster, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Is the theory then at that point, effectively you have to essentially charge each one of those departments then?
Yes.
And come up with a number that is reasonable based on what they're contributing to the stream, if you will?
Correct. So
Well,
that,
each department should gotta develop a budget for trash and it should be in their yearly budget.
and we want to help them do that. We were given a formula at one point. I think it was about $11 per yard. So if you had like an 8-yard dumpster, it was like $88. So we have a formula that was given to us by the trash hauler. And between now and the annual town meeting, when we want to get this on the warrant, the annual town meeting, we're more than willing to sit down with each department and to help them as accurately as possible, build in first efficiencies. They may have a dumpster. Senior Center has an 8-yard dumpster. I don't want to keep picking on them, but they have an 8-yard dumpster. That might be inviting trash that doesn't belong to the Senior Center. Okay, so we would sit down with someone like Amy and we would talk about first building efficiencies into what they have. Do they really need an 8-yard? They might only need a 2-yard. And then we would explain to them the formula, how often that dumpster is going to be picked up, and give them an annual number. Because technically, that should be taxpayer money for that expense, not subscriber money. Now, I don't know, we have a long process to go through before we get to the annual town meeting. So the next person that I'm going to assume that we're probably going to talk to is going to be the town accountant, who is a contractor.
Well, not to interrupt you, I think the first step is meeting with the select board and the financial team. This committee here is no longer the financial team like it was years past. We now have professionals earning a salary, deciding what is going on. We, as a finance committee, still help them on a vote. But am I wrong here? Is
No, you're
anybody-
correct. Yeah.
Is that correct?
No, I would say you need to meet with the financial team and the town administrator. That'd actually be your next step.
Okay.
I feel this board, I'll speak for myself, I'll back you on it, and I'm sure the rest of the members will, because it's a viable plan, and it's definitely needed. But I think back up a little bit and approach this board so that they can have the professionals that they hired in the last 5 years.
Well, we want to talk with multiple groups because we're kind of doing our homework at this point.
Right.
We're making sure that we're expressing ourselves correctly as to what we're trying to do. And we're looking for feedback from various town boards that have to do with the money side of things. So like I said, and we can definitely redirect what direction we go in. I wanted to make sure that we had plenty of time before the annual town meeting. When we first went for a revolving account, at one point we were advised we needed what's the other one? Enterprise account, which turned out to be wrong. So
We wouldn't qualify because we don't have any assets, that require any kind of maintenance on, on a regular basis or operational expenses. Everything is contracted out to.
So-
I think Michael's point is well taken, though. I mean, we can visit everybody in the whole world
Right.
that's got a trash bucket in there as their own little trash thing, but we need to have
Town
the
father's gotta say,
support
agree with
of
it.
that, yeah.
And the ultimate okay comes from the voter. Seriously, we'll recommend it.
Mhm.
Say, yep, and that's our function, is to say, yes, the citizens amendment, this is a good deal. Or, no, this is a bad deal.
Yeah, if this doesn't pass the sniff test with us, then you've at least got some homework to do and some things to maybe change before you approach others, right? We're not going to make a decision that's going to be binding in any way, shape, or form here, but we will have recommendations and opinions. So-
Sir?
I do have a question, though. Is there currently a bylaw, and I'm speaking strictly the revolving account, the money, that specifically states that it should either go back to you people or the taxpayer?
Not that I'm aware of.
Because it sounds like if there was one, obviously, then this would be cleared up. This- the one issue we're talking about.
Yeah, not to my knowledge. And I've been involved with the board for, 8, 9, 10 years. I lose track. The years go by.
Yeah.
right?
Good 10 years.
Especially if you care about the town and you're trying to do your part as a taxpayer to keep the town on the right side of the line. And like I said, whenever I've gone to town meetings, there's always been this extra money in trash. And it wasn't until I got involved with the Board of Health, and it takes a while. It takes 2-3 years to go through the whole cycle of things that you're responsible for you to learn how everything works. So the first time when there's money in trash and you're at town meeting, you're like, okay, there's money in trash. You don't know how it got there. You don't know why it's there until you've been on the board for 2, 3, 4 years and you get educated as you go along and you go through these processes. Tom, you and I have been through writing the trash contract twice now, right?
Yep.
Well, you know, the first time you do it, you're kind of green at it. You're looking at whoever the senior member of the board is to kind of guide you, and you're just listening and trying to read as much as you can. Second time around, you're a little more comfortable with it, you know, because you understand the ins and outs and the terms, and you understand how it works. And do you go out for bid? Do you not go out for bid? So again, we're here because I've been in town long enough where you guys had a lot more control, obviously, over as to how the money was spent. I'm not up to speed on the changes of power or the experts that have been hired. I know we have a town accountant that's not an employee, that's a contractor. So that's why I assumed we needed to go to someone like that next. Jody Kersey was invited.
Yes.
I don't know if she's on. I was hoping, you know, to get, as the tax collector or the finance director, I was hoping to get her input on this topic. So we're trying to do our homework so that when we go to the selectmen, or it was my assumption that when we go to the selectmen, we have everything in line as to what we're talking about and we're using the right terminology. We're Board of Health people. We're not the finance people. So we want to ask for the right type of account and we want to ask for it in the appropriate way. So that's why we started with you guys.
Yeah, right. So the purpose of a revolving account is in place for the water board has the same thing, right? They have
They have an
revolving.
enterprise, right?
Well, no, they do have an enterprise fund because they need to be able to maintain the actual equipment.
Parks Department.
I was just about to say the Parks Department has a revolving account for kind of similar purposes, right? So I do believe revolving account sounds correct. I would just say that it's probably worth meeting with the individual boards to get an idea of what their fees would be, right? So to have a total proposal of this is how all of the money would change, and each department would be responsible for X amount of dollars, right? Just to put together a complete picture. Because my next question would be, out of the money that goes to Harvey, how much of that would have been accounted for in the municipal nugget?
Do we have a number of about
Well,
20,000 annually?
What happens is that if you get your trash from Harvey, you, and you're paying for the senior citizens dump.
Yep.
You're paying for their equipment and getting their trash picked up. Not only theirs, but then the highway department, the police department. So that doesn't really make any sense because you are paying your taxes. We're paying paying our taxes, right?
Yeah.
And we're paying our trash bill, which is including their trash.
Yeah, so E.L. Harvey at the end of the day is going to receive a gross sum of money from Mendon residents, including the municipality, right? Which includes pickup of the municipality. Only the subscribers are paying, but the subscribers have paid for a specific amount of tonnage of trash pickup, right? That equates to the municipality's trash tonnage. What is the dollar value of that trash tonnage? Like, what is the dollar value that the subscribers
We had a
paying?
number of about 20,000 annually.
Yeah.
So not a big number, and certainly not a big percentage of the whole.
Yeah.
But it's not being accounted for correctly.
It comes down to fair allocation, just who should pay.
16% of the people should not be not paying for the trash pickup in all the town's buildings. That makes perfect sense to me. So
That's right.
it's
That's
complete
it.
common sense to me that.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
town should be being billed for.
That is my point.
Knowing what
as
that
well.
number
Right.
needs, is going to be is definitely what you're gonna wanna be presenting to the people who are gonna be now absorbing that into the budget.
Right.
And the people that are gonna have to pay that money to that budget, because those people aren't gonna have that money in their budget.
At this
But
point.
certainly
Right.
this all makes complete sense.
Otherwise, I'll feel no shame if I need to go to the senior center and drop off an extra trash.
Well, there's an 8-yard dumpster down
It's now been recorded.
We're now going to put little people there and at night, every night.
There you go,
Just so that.
I think the other issue besides this, though, is obviously the revolving. The money that is surplus with trash should stay there. It should not go, it should not be taken out.
Correct.
If there's an
No,
excess,
there
if there's an
should be.
excess of
And I'm just
$30,000
curious,
or $40,000, it
Yeah.
should go towards the next year's.
Correct.
I am curious, though, historically, is this, you said, is this something that's always happened, or?
Well, I can't say that. Someone would have to actually look at the books to see that. I can say that going back 3, 4, 5 years ago, to Mike's point, that I remember going to town meeting and there could have been $60,000 or $80,000 there. And again, to Mike's point,
50.
it was needed.
No,
Okay.
yeah, but that's-
And again, the reason,
Not right,
That's
though.
not right. Yeah, that's not
Correct.
right.
right.
Yeah, so,
But again, it's really no one's intentional
Right.
fault that happened. That could very well have been, Mike mentioned 150. That could have been at the time where the Wheelabrator contract came into effect. And year 1, 2, 3, and 4, like I said, all of a sudden, one minute you're paying 68 a ton. You sign that new 20-year agreement. Now you're only paying 58 a ton. But when you sent out the bills, you based them on 68 a ton because that was the information you had available.
You're absolutely right.
So
Don't wanna
that's
underestimate.
that's what happens.
Right.
Makes perfect sense.
We want to be accountable. The last thing we want to do is come back to the town at the end of the year looking for more money for anything. So every fee that we set, whether it be a fee for a well permit, perk test, we have an idea how much our engineer costs an hour, how much the review of the plans costs an hour. And then we look at other towns, what other towns are charging. And sometimes other towns are charging 3 times what we're charging.
Sounds notorious.
It's our understanding that the municipality government is not supposed to be making money. We're supposed to be covering our expenses. But if money keeps going out the door at the end of the year and leaving the trash program and the Board of Health, we're going to have a problem, aside from the fact that it's just not right.
May I interject something that's happening now? And I think if you read different things, you'll agree and you'll know about it. But recycling has taken a real hit. And they're not taking different things and they're having to pay for different things. Before, I mean, cardboard, you got rid of cardboard so easy. They got paid for the cardboard. You could put in all your cans and bottles and so, and it's changed dramatically now for us. So we're now having to pay. We never had to pay for recycling. That was a free thing because we were doing the right thing. We were doing the good thing. They were using it and blah, blah, blah. Now we are paying for recycling.
Recycling costs us $110 to get rid of.
Yeah, that's
That's
the
more than
average
trash.
processing fee from.
Trash is, how much are we paying a ton for trash?
$78.
All right, so trash is $78 a ton to get rid of. Recycling, as Tom just said, is an average of $110. So it's costing money to do the right thing. Now, not this contract, but the contract previous, when AJ Fisk was the chairman of the board, and we were writing that contract up, and that was our first time around with E.L. Harvey, they gave us the option of playing the market for recycling or paying an additional $13,000 a year and never hearing from them again, no matter what way the market went. That option was not on the table this time around because of, as Joyce pointed out, how the world of recycling has changed.
There was a time when we used to actually get rebates every quarter on paper. Remember how you used to have to separate your paper from everything else? Well, paper had value. So every quarter, we might see a check for like 1,500, maybe a couple thousand. That's long.
So again, that's more of a reason that the Board of Health be able to, wherever the money is kept, hold on to a certain portion of it, because what if next year recycling's 140 a ton?
Yeah.
We don't know.
So, in order to move forward, I would suggest, one, you put together a more detailed proposal on what the expected cost for each department is going to be, and that just be part of the overall pitch
Okay.
as you continue down the road. The other piece of this is that the revolving account should also probably have a cap, a max.
Correct.
I was just about to ask that question, not to interrupt you all. But
Yeah.
Does it have a cap or a max, or does it just have an end of the year or beginning of the year audit of how it will be applied? Meaning it doesn't matter if there's $16,000 or $168,000, and if it's all going back the following year to the subscribers, it doesn't make a difference whatsoever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was weighing that, yeah.
I don't know.
I had that
I don't
same
know if you
battle
say
in my head.
$100,000 and then like they make a great deal and there's 200 and then they wish they had that 100 to give back to the subscribers.
See, that's the scary number, because we're at what, almost 700,000 a year? So we would need a revolving account as of today that would cover $700,000. And that's what freaks everybody out.
Why would it need to cover 700? It's only
Because
covering the overages, right?
Out of that account, we're paying E.L. Harvey, which is 450,000. We're paying Wheeler Brader. So we're expending all the money that's coming in except for a very small amount, like out of that $700,000.
If I'm not mistaken, though, I think a revolving account works year to year. Like, in other words, what you're going to take into the next year. It doesn't have to be the entire value of the
Okay.
account.
See, these are things, these are things that we need to clarify,
If
like,
I'm not mistaken, it's your revolving
like-
account is what you're taking into the next year.
yeah, like our engineering account has a $25,000 cap. So that, to me, as a Board of Health member, means the minute that account, or whatever point in time that account is over 25,000, that money leaves that
I
account.
think that's end of the year. That's your end of the year cap. So
Okay.
in other words, if you're trying to carry $26,000 into the following year, $1,000 will be taken off and put into free cash.
See, that's why we're talking to the finance.
Right.
See, what we
That's
do
right.
from a billing perspective, we actually bill in 2 cycles a year. So discussing with Jack earlier, even though the number is large as an annual number, it's only, you're really only looking for a representation for 6 months, because you get revenues or payments from the subscribers for 6 months at a time, and you pay out at 6 months at a time. So the question came up, geez, would we actually need an amount, a large number, or could we actually break it down to really only represent what's needed every 6 months?
Yeah, and like, again, that might be something that's better to be spoken to the financial team.
More of an accounting issue than.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the town administrator and the financial team will break all of those things down for you, which is why they should be the next step in order to figure out all of those pieces.
And annually, that number is going to change, because we know automatically that E.L. Harvey is going to go up 3% every year.
That's built into the contract.
Okay? We know that tonnage rate is going to go up $2-3 a ton. So to have a fixed cap on it would be a problem, because that number would have to change every year.
Yeah, that's the part that I would be, no, go ahead, Jack, I was just gonna. Yeah, no, my only thing would be interested to know how you show a revolving count and audit that it's all being applied back. So whether that's like something you start off at the beginning of the year with a presentation to the town, say, hey, we had $25,000, and it was $1 million, and everything came down X dollars per subscriber for this particular calendar year, and that's how it got done.
Well,
And I think that would probably be an easy
That's the
thing to
easiest
do.
thing to do. I mean,
Yeah,
that's just
I
the
think
easiest thing.
so,
Close
yeah.
your books and say, hey, we had 25 grand, and then that 25 grand just gets applied.
well,
against
that's accounting 101.
That's what I'm saying, I think.
Money coming in and money going out. When you tally and balance the sheet.
Right, but
If you don't have enough money, if you running out of money because you're paying bills, you're not charging enough to cover the bills. I mean, that's simple. nobody's stealing it, you would hope. You know, this is,
But
So you are gonna have an additional expense though, right, in terms of you're likely gonna have to now amend the contract with Yale Harvey to account for the fact now that the town is actually gonna be among the ratepayers.
no,
No.
I wouldn't think so.
No, and I really think, and again, I'm not the money people, but I am a small business owner. I think that the municipal trash can be accounted for on paper. I don't think we have to go to sending the senior center or the library or the highway department a bill. I don't think you have to go to that process. I think whoever our accountant is can move the money on the books.
I guess what I'm saying is this, is that the E.L. Harvey is coming in and they're picking up the trash based on a contract.
Mhm.
And the contract is saying, you tell me, is the contract saying we're picking up trash from ratepayers?
Yep. But it says ratepayers, and they send another truck in to do all the municipalities. E.L. Harvey does it all.
Nothing changes about the services contract.
It's just, it can't actually, because of what he said, earlier was that the
Reason-
town buildings sweetened the trash deal.
The reason for the different truck.
Right, and it makes sense, right?
8-yard dumpsters.
You know?
Right, exactly,
Instead of
yeah.
trash
Little
barrels.
chunk
And
of-
it makes sense,
Fighting bigger.
it makes sense for E.L. Harvey because they're here, even though it's a different truck. Okay?
Got it. Now,
So it's cheaper than if the municipalities individually, highway tried to get their own hauler. It's gonna, if they try to get their own hauler or the library tries to get their own hauler, it's not gonna be
Yeah,
as
it's gonna be more
inexpensive.
It'd be more expensive than
Oh,
free.
So
much more.
you've identified the issue for me now. So it's not only that there's separation, that is, that they know there's separation because it's a separate haul completely. So they
Correct.
know exactly what's coming out
Right.
Correct.
for the municipality.
That's why they could give us that
Correct.
formula.
Got it. But what's not happening is there's not a separate bill for that.
Right.
That's what's happening.
Correct.
And now
You're
saying
paying it.
This can all be handled inside baseball, if you will, within the town.
That's my small
Got it,
business
got it.
understanding.
I understand.
Okay, because when this got leaked out a year ago, that we were having this discussion, there was a lot of pushback from the different town members, the municipality members. Okay, oh no, we're not paying for that. The Board of Health can't take that away from us. And they didn't give us an opportunity. Well, they
You're right, the Board of Health can't, but the town of Mendon can.
right, but that was never our intention. We want to stay partners with all the other town members, town municipalities. We're on the same team. It's an accounting thing. That's all it is.
The timing of that discussion when it first came out was right when budgets were being
Right.
looked at and finalized. So when
It
it
was
was
all
like
hot.
it was like the 11th hour, and all
Right.
of a sudden this came out and people were,
Well,
what, I now have to consider this in my budget? And so we put that to bed and said, wait a minute, well, we'll come back and revisit this.
But it also, it also would put a strain on you guys, because now, all right, X amount of trash coming from the municipality, how do we break it up so we lower the rate? I would expect if the town municipalities are kicking money in to pay for their trash, me as an individual, you as an individual should see some kind of reduction
In the
in the
bill.
fee.
Right, if it were
And
done,
that's what this is all
right,
about.
if it were done immediately today, and let's just say that $20,000 calculation we have, it'd be $10 per subscriber. Now, the thing you have to remember is, every year things get more expensive. So you might not actually see it as a reduction, but you'll see it as less of an increase.
We're knowing.
But you say
Right,
20,000.
it could be no increase.
You say 20,000.
Well, that would-
It's
that
not
would grow.
substantial. That's 4% of the
Right.
contract.
Oh, yeah.
It's not insubstantial.
No, it's long.
But that would basically stay the same every year, because again, the municipality's not gonna pay it just in 1 year.
Right,
They're gonna pay their share going forward.
Right.
So
4%
everybody's
reduction.
gonna get
It's
hit
a
with
4% reduction in
that
perpetuity.
is
Right.
on the hook to pay the 3% every year.
right.
Just like with the police department contracts, the fire department contracts.
Correct.
The town hall union contracts. There's a percentage built in every year, it's usually a 3-year contract, and, okay, you're gonna get a 2.5% raise, 3%, 3.5%.
This-
But everybody will be paying it.
I applaud the effort of the board for, number one, fairness, and number two, transparency into exactly what's happening. And I think that this is exactly what we ought to be doing. And I think for those people say, well, it's half a dozen on one, 6 of the other, it's not.
It's not.
Right.
This is about
60%
fairness.
of the
about
people aren't
transparency.
Well,
Can I just add this one thing that, what's happening now, a lot of them have big, word came out of my head, dumpsters, big dumpsters, and other people are using them. I mean, like the senior center, they have a huge one, it gets picked up every week, and they're paying. So now they're gonna be more diligent, in my opinion, they will. That same thing with the highway department. You think that somebody's not bringing their own trash into that, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that it's going to make things more equitable for you and I and for them.
Well, I think it's gonna hold each department more accountable
There you go.
to actually have the
That's,
trash that's there.
that was exactly
for the
my point.
municipality.
That's right. I'm paying for you, I'm not gonna pay for you to dump to your trash every week in here, come on.
we have had reports, either from, E.L. Harvey that's picking the trash up, or from others of, fire department, they'll find a tire in it. We don't pick up tires, period. It shouldn't be in the dumpster for sure. It should end up down behind the highway barn.
And we get billed for that.
We would get billed for it unless the driver took it out and left it there.
But I think they have cameras on the back. I know they watch.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is an accumulation of things. We're trying to do a good job and give the subscribers a good value. And it's amazing how much time trash takes. I mean, we talk trash a lot.
Couldn't resist, could you?
I couldn't. So we want to do it well. I mean,
And equitably.
We're absolutely, and we want to be transparent and we want to be held accountable. So we work really hard to try to get all those numbers as right as we can possibly get them, so that at the end of the year, we're not going back to the taxpayers and saying, hey, we're short. I mean, there are things that the taxpayer money pays for. Board of Health is told we have to have the health inspector. We have to have a VNA. There are things that we have to have. So that has to be taxpayer money. This trash debacle that Mike is very familiar with came about out of desperation. I mean, we were desperate to keep the town afloat back then. And again, as Mike pointed out, things are better now financially, but it's still not correct. We're trying to make it correct.
So we can move to the next step then.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think the biggest thing that I like about having each department that has like the senior center, the fire, is that if they're given a bill at the end of the year, everybody sees it. Taxpayers see it. And then they can say, wait a second, how come this department has this much, and this department only has this much? That's what I like, is getting back to the words transparency. And that's, because right now it's all hidden.
Well, every department has a different scenario.
Right.
Parks Department has multiple dumpsters in multiple locations, but it's seasonal, or it should be seasonal. Okay? Highway Department generates trash from within their own department, but they also pick up trash that's on the side of the road.
Correct.
Correct, yeah.
So to have that, when people look at it, they need to know what they're looking at.
Right.
Because Parks Department is seasonal, so their yearly average might be the same as the senior center. Highway Department, aside from what they generate, depending upon how much they pick up, could be more. It's not that the Highway Department is being wasteful. It's the Highway Department is picking up all the trash on the side of the road, which isn't highway generated trash, but it's put in their dumpster. We also, when we do hazardous waste day, we use a dumpster that is negotiated in the contract for hazardous waste day. We have 2 free 30-yard dumpsters. Now that free means the dumpster is free, not the contents. We still have to pay for the tonnage to tip it. Okay. When we do Rock the Block, we've had different events in town, E.L. Harvey comes and picks up the trash or brings extra containers. At one point when we were doing the 350th, they were bringing like small containers to put all around town for everyone's trash. That's all covered by the subscribers and the E.L. Harvey contract. We're not trying to be picky by any means. We're just trying to get it we're trying to get it right.
Equitable.
Well, I'm 100% on board, so. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I think-
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely.
Well done.
Jack, do you have anything you want to add?
No,
Okay.
Could
They're
I,
agreeing, stop talking.
could I just, could I ask each of you who you are? Because I'm new on this time around. I'm not new, but I just don't know what your names are at this point, so if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'm Adam Griffin. I'm the newest member of the finance committee. I've been on since last fall, I think.
Adam?
Adam.
Okay,
Mike Jones this is my 3rd year.
yep.
You skipped
Rob?
over somebody.
I
Ron Zamuto, I'm in like 2nd or 3rd year, same time.
Ron?
Ron, yeah, Ron Zamuto, yeah.
Jack Hodgins, I've been on practice for a few terms now.
And Mike Krager, I'm the chair. This is second.
Yeah, second.
You can't forget the gentleman in the
Oh, yeah,
screen.
and Nick Mulvey as well. Nick, want to introduce yourself to Joyce?
He's muted.
Hi, Joyce. My name's Nick. I've been on the board
Unmute
for
yourself.
approximately 5
He is
years.
unmuted. How come we can't hear you?
Oh, speakers? Oh, man.
Nick, if you were trying to say anything earlier, we can't hear you. I don't know why our speakers aren't working.
5 years.
He waved hi.
All right.
That's okay.
Oh, that's
Great,
all right, I'm
thank
gonna have
you.
to look at that.
Well, thank you all for your
If I
time.
might, before we stop with the introductions. Joyce Gilmore, for those of you that don't know, has been very instrumental in this town for the past 45 years, if longer.
Yeah, and was 6 when I started.
She was on the Board of Health when I moved into town 40 years ago. She is also partly responsible for me getting involved. When I went to get my permits and whatnot, she
This
was,
was somebody to blame.
no, I guess she saw a little flicker of stardom there.
Yep.
Nursed it through help and realized you gotta give back to the community. So, I agree. I think everybody here, we agree with what you're doing, and this is the beginning. I have sons and daughters that live in other parts of New England. And their trash, some places, Yarmouth, Maine, the best trash system going. You ought to reach out to them and see it. I'll try to get some information.
Yeah, please.
I mean, from recycling to mulch. It's amazing what they do up there. And Yarmouth, Maine is not much bigger than Mendon.
What can you do about the latex paint line?
Yeah.
Well, Milford has a
Latex-
program for that.
The latex paint,
Milford has a program for that because they have a transfer station. I want to say it's $2 a gallon, but someone told me that they were putting the paint like on a shelf and you could like leave one and take one. So if you went down there and left a gallon or two and there was a gallon of redwood stain that you said that would work nice on my shed.
Is that right? That's very creative.
That's-
And they'll take this from like, only from the folks in Milford now.
To my understanding.
Got it. I mean,
But-
it's
but
a
see,
clever
that's-
idea.
that's the-
Anybody who's ever brought paint home,
Yeah.
and somebody said that looks terrible, and now you've got a gallon. It's terrible.
Or you move in and it's been, since 2014, I've been trying to get rid of the latex paint that they left there.
Just the light yellow.
Like I
Now
said,
got a half a gallon of.
yeah, I did read that if you were just dropping it off, I think it's like $2 a gallon, which is still reasonable,
I pay that.
you know, to get rid of it correctly,
Oh, yeah.
right? I mean, that,
That's a clever idea.
but see, that's the advantage to bigger town, more land, more money. That transfer station has to be manned, okay? I mean, we've have a hard time keeping someone down here 4 hours on a Saturday at the highway barn so that we can get rid of batteries and fluorescent lights and scrap metal and things like that. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, just because we're the small town of Mendon doesn't mean that we don't need things or that, you know, more services. I mean, pizza boxes can be composted, but you need a composting facility to do it. So what do? We put them in the trash because they can't be recycled. There's a lot of things you can
That's a real
do.
big problem now is the recycling. It's scary, you know?
Well, I'll keep my comments to myself.
Yeah.
I mean, they do a good job down here with the scrap metal and the batteries and the fluorescent light bulbs and everything. But again, you got to get someone who's going to come into work on a Saturday for 4 hours. That's the struggle. We have a nice facility. Alan has Alan, previous highway surveyor, had a revolving account, and he would retain the money. And every year or two, he would upgrade that facility. It's nice down there. He did a great job with it. And I'm sure John is going to do his best to enhance it. But again, when you have a revolving account and those $10 stickers and the different fees that go for getting rid of propane tanks and microwaves and refrigerators and everything, if you're able to use that money to enhance the facility and expand it.
What I'm gonna say, one of the biggest problems in this state is we get mandated by the state. The people vote for it, okay? All right, a simple thing like the 5-cent bottle tax. Where do you take your bottles? Do you stand at the grocery store and feed one at a time in there?
I give them to the Boy Scouts.
Yep, right.
But you know what I mean?
Right.
We're mandated to do things which everybody goes, yeah, that's a great idea, but that's where they drop the ball after that. Okay, what do I do? Look at all the cans I saved. I went out and picked up all these cans. What? I gotta stand for 2 hours in line and go like this?
A requirement oriented, not solution oriented.
Right.
Instead of
5 cents meant something in
So
83.
that's
Yeah.
the
5
perfect
cents meant something in
description.
83.
I personally have said this before at Board of Health meetings. I feel as though recycling should be taught in school. I feel if you start teaching it as part of the curriculum as kindergartners, eventually, over time, it'll be natural. When I first had to wear a seatbelt, I had to learn how to wear a seatbelt. That law didn't exist.
You're right.
Now,
All right,
it's,
I'd love to continue the nuances of how to improve recycling for the planet, but this is the Finance Committee, and I'd like to get out of here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate
I
it.
too want to go home.
I have a hard stop in 7 minutes.
Nick, can you say something real quick? I just want to see if I changed the speakers. I want to see if this works.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Hey, all right.
No? Yes?
yeah. Good to hear you, Nick.
All right. Thank you.
I'm glad not to share COVID with you all. See you later.
Appreciate it. Okay, next item on the agenda was approving the meeting minutes from back in May, whenever the last one was. So, what was it? Was it May?
Yeah.
Yeah.
January 1st.
You had sent it out back then. I'm assuming that everybody definitively read the notes and
Got you.
remembers exactly what was in it.
No, not exactly, but I did that.
Okay.
May.
So would folks, can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May
31st.
31st?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Opposed? Good. Meeting minutes approved. All right. Anything else that we wanted to discuss that we couldn't think about 48 hours ago?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to close the meeting at 8:13 p.m. Awesome. Closed.
Motion to close the meeting?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Thank you.
Awesome.
And the trash is one of those things.